Hey review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, review music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be covering the new Asphyx record entitled Necroceros. The requests were heard, and I apologize that this review has taken a bit of time to really conjure up because I've been listening to this record a lot. And if there's been a record recently that has been very anticipated for a review, it was this record. Legendary Dutch metal band Asphyx have been one of the longest running and best sounding exports from the Netherlands, with ties to other bands and other projects that scream filth and agony. Despite some lineup changes, a really long runtime, as well as some very lackluster releases throughout their canon, Asphyx has done a very good job of instating their legacy not only as sort of a must-listen for the genre, but making them a staple for their region. Taking the old school death metal from the scene that they grew up in and merging that like a Clash of the Titans with very low and doom-inspired riffage. Here on their newest record, I would say that not only do they defend their reputation, but I think that's an understatement. They sort of drill it into your head. They serve up their usual crushing assortment of all these different death metal stylings and freakish vocals that for some reason on this specific record, I can't get the comparison out of my head that they remind me a lot of Horrendous's record Idol, which that's not bad company to be in considering that is one of the best death metal records of the 2010s. And a classic thing they've always taken a liking to is descending sections into very atmospheric and doom metal inspired patterns. And usually, as opposed to an abrupt transition, they will take the mainstay riff on a track, they will sort of break down the composition and take whatever's heavy, take whatever's fast, and descend that in a way that just feels like it is a seamless blend. Think sort of Anathema. Without a doubt, the demented tone of old school death metal runs through the blackened veins of this project, and it is only helped, it's only amplified by really punchy production. But one thing that I do want to point out is, as opposed to other Asphyx releases where doom metal and death metal have really merged and become a solid grouping together, I noticed that there is a lot more of a focus on a lot of the doom metal sections here. This can be a good opportunity, this can open doors musically, sonically, and to some people I feel like this is going to be either really good or really bad for that very reason. The slower sections can drag on a bit. They can be one of the more mind-numbing sections, or the less nuanced sections as opposed to the heavier sections, the quicker sections, and just because it has less to it, because they have less to work with, doesn't make it bad. As a staunch advocate for atmosphere and music, I think that Asphyx not only does it very tastefully here, but they also do their best to blend the two steel just like they always have. But it is something that I wanted to take note of just how much doom metal dominates this track listing. The heaviness does complement the doom and gloom shots, and specifically the riffs are done justice out the wazoo. While everything is sort of a staple at this point, while everything is to be expected from Asphyx, not only in their sound but just as they construct a song as musicians, I think that the one thing that really continues to surprise me, continues to really be commendable for the band, is their approach to riff writing. It is so good. When they lay down into a catchy and very gritty old school death metal riff, such as on a track like Molten Black Earth, you really can't help but just get really into the groove. And you really feel the nature of the boom quality. And if we're on the topic of things to compliment, yes, the riffs are catchy, they are groovy, and despite being very death metal and very rooted in the old school, it still has a really catchy sound to it. A lot of these riffs are earwormy, a lot of these riffs do stick out, with a tone that, while it isn't the most unique thing, still manages to get the job done with their intentions. And in my eyes, it's refreshing to have a band with that sound. Amidst the battlefield of endless modern death metal bands with low fidelity production, it is really a breath of fresh air and refreshing to hear a band that values production in a way that does not sap the life out of their well-intended well-intentioned push, but still pays homage and still pays value to their most critical moments. It allows you to feel that vibration. What Asphyx does here is carefully manage death metal and doom metal in a hybrid style that comes out very effectively. The going for the jugular sensation that a lot of old school death metal bands have, Asphyx has, but they don't feel like they are so stuck in the past that they can't bring it up to a current level. That's exhibited whether it be through the production or maybe the way they construct a song or how they blend the two. They have matured over the years from the experience that they have had as a band. They've really found their footing. And on this record, one of the major things and one of the only things that I can really say is bad is a lot of times the doom metal sections can be some of the more lackluster. Considering that some of these tracks can reach fairly long lengths by death metal standards, they sort of will go down and descend and stick in a section so long that on repeated listens it can become a little bit head scratch worthy. That is an issue with a lot of death doom bands where one will overpower the other or one will be weaker than the other, and I would go so far as to say that that is true of most genres that combine one and the other. And it's sort of a mixed bag with the vocals, because while I do love how unique they sound and how waily they sound and sort of how they sound like that horrendous record Idol, I don't think that every single track they sound the most fresh, and I don't think they sound the most fitting. But as a whole, Asphyx does not sound dated, they do not sound rudimentary, and while their songwriting isn't the sharpest it's ever been, this is certainly one of their best records that they have dropped in a while, and something that I suggest to death metal fans, doom metal fans, or fans of both. I think Asphyx is a very must-listen type of band and worthy of your attention. I personally really enjoyed this record, and I'm glad that the hype for it panned out, because spending time and time with this record, yes, there are minor nitpicks that you can pick out and say this is bad, this is slightly off, this is slightly worse than the other. As a project, as a whole, I was very surprised by this record, and I'm happy I was. I'm going to be giving this album an 8 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Asphyx record, Necroceros? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss this record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.